kind of quiet week, right? I mean, we really only had one main thing going on, and it seems as though the future of AI is bright. Would you consider this an eventful week? Would you consider it a week worth trading? It ended up being, right? More so than the previous week.
I mean, it was very slow, like we thought Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then all of a sudden yesterday was busy.
Yeah. Nvidia, of course, they beat on earnings. That was the big story of the week. Tops $2.5 trillion market cap. So what? Microsoft and Apple, the only ones are above it. The 10 for 1
had that on their bingo card, by the way.
What, 10 split?
Yeah. No. Who had Nvidia being the third most valuable company in the world on their bingo card a year ago? Nobody.
Nobody did. No
chance.
Yeah. Nobody.
Like nobody has Tasty being the fourth most valuable company.
That's right. There's still room. Who had stocks declining 1% on Thursday on their bingo card, but Nvidia still being up 10%?
I did.
Yeah, of course you did. Earlier this week, we also had the FOMC minutes. It sparked a little controversy in markets because markets dipped down because they said some members were willing to tighten a little bit more, and they're saying financial conditions are too easy. Tom, do you think financial conditions... You know, I'm not going to ask you. Tony, do you think financial conditions are too easy in this economy? Whatever that means. Well, you know, they think money is too available, right? I mean, obviously...
It is.
It is. Do you feel like it is?
I do feel like it is. I don't think that that's a bad thing, by the way.
So you think interest rates should be a little bit higher?
I have no problem if interest rates are a little higher.
Of course you don't.
I'm just saying.
Well, we're not even at the.
I don't think if you have too much liquidity has not proven to be a bad thing. It's proven to be a good thing. So sure, why would I be mad about too much liquidity?
No, I mean, interest rates aren't really even, I mean, they're approaching the average over the last 15 to 20 years. So, I mean, this is one time when average works, right? I mean, what's wrong with that?
That's a good point. That's a good way of putting it. I didn't expect such clarity out of you guys on this subject. Gold, silver, and copper.
That's PhD level clarity.
Gold, silver, and copper all kind of fell pretty hard this week on this. It seems like they started waking up to this idea of Fed rate cuts. Big red bars in gold and silver this week, and copper, I think. Cryptos, but you know, they moved higher on this momentum for these Ether ETFs. Potentially, it's kind of this same cycle they started with these Bitcoin ETFs. Bitcoin is back above 70K for the first time in 6 weeks. And before yesterday's sell-off, VIX was below 12. It was at the lowest level since November 2019, November 25th, 2019, in fact, which I think was Thanksgiving of that year. So VIX was really low prior to that little sell-off. We'll see what we return to.
I thought the Ether move yesterday was really interesting. After they announced it, this Ether dropped $100, which is about 3%.
What they announced yesterday?
The ETF.
Oh, did they? Oh, I didn't.
Approval. They announced the approval.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and so then ETH dropped $100 after that. So it was a buy the rumor, sell the news.
That's exactly what happened with Bitcoin too.
Kind of exactly what happened to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's down to 67,000 now. It had, I kind of feel like it blew its brains out, but maybe not. We'll see. That's like the second time it's been up over 70.
It's interesting too. Like what I've noticed is, that I don't have on here is we talked about gold and silver and copper and how they've been moving and the vol's been elevated. Cryptos are moving around. Talking about some of these things that are currencies. As I look here at the screen, I mean, there's been vol in currencies too. Whether it's the euro or the Canadian dollar. So there's a lot of vol in these currency type instruments that we trade.
Yeah, I mean, there has been some heightened vol in the currencies, but there's no trade in there.
No, there really isn't. No, it's just interesting, right? It's market awareness, right?
I mean, the difference is like if I want to roll a trade, and like I tried to do a trade in the euro this morning, and I was trying to do some price discovery. I couldn't even get filled, and it doesn't move. I couldn't get filled to tick around mid price. So I was like, you know what? I don't like this. If I'm gonna give up an extra tick, I'm gonna trade copper.
Yeah, for those of us who are looking for certain type of tradable things. I mean, not to say that they're not, but I don't know. Chris and Ilya love those things. That's not really where we roll to.
Yeah, but Chris and Ilya were raised by wolves, and we discovered them in the forest, living off the land.
Absolutely, literally and figuratively. So this is the price of the 1 month straddle. Look how much it's dropped over these last couple of months. April was pretty volatile. It's if you actually do it right now, you go out to 29 days or so. It's about 2.5%. This is in percentage points, right? So about 2.5% if you look at the SPX around 30-day straddle right now. It was almost near 4% at one point in time in April when things were getting volatile. You can see what it was like last October. So yeah, this has come down quite a bit. It's another way of saying how volatility is pretty low.
This should be a huge red flag with respect to, selling too much premium here or committing too much capital. I think you still have to sell premium, but I don't know how much capital you can commit. It could stay like this for a long, long time. So you can't buy it, but still, got to be careful here.
Mm-hmm. This is the amount of trading sessions in the S&P without a daily sell-off of 2% or more. We are at the bottom there at 313. Hard to believe that we had 949 trading sessions in 03, from 03 to 07 at one point, that we did not have a 2% sell-off. Other things that stick out to me, not many else. I mean, there were plenty other less volatile times, but they're usually around a maybe 2 to 3 year period. So to your point, maybe we get that could be happening now. We're at 313 now. Do we go to 400, 500 days without a 2% sell-off? I don't know, but something to keep in mind.
I mean, that period of time was after a very large sell-off. So, the reason we didn't have a 2% sell-off in that window was just because we had just sold off 60%. That was post.
Yeah, actually, it's a good point. No, look at 2016 to 2018. Prior to that, 2015, right? In August of 2015, huge volatile time period. I think it was devaluation of the yuan. And then we go to 16 to 18. It was really not much. Obviously, through 2017, no volatility at all. So it's a good point. You're saying you get banged in the head and you don't want to do anything.
After the market has a massive move to the downside, it will spend a lot of time without huge down moves again for a while. And that's what all those are. After the market's on its way up, like we are now, those tend to be shorter lived. We'll see.
Interest rates, as we were talking about them, this was in the blue is what a lot of people were thinking was going to happen as of the end of last year. That was the path, right? They were thinking we for sure would probably have a cut by March and then another one by June and so on and so forth. But has not happened at all. The orange line is showing what's actually happened. We've kept rates the same for 5 straight months. It'll be 6 in June. And a rate cut's really not expected until maybe September. And I think that's fine, honestly, especially what you guys said at the beginning of the show. We're right around average for the long term, and I don't think that's a terrible thing.
Yeah, no, we're fine with it.
So, inflation has been above 3% for 37 consecutive months. That's the longest streak since 1991. It's like the 4th longest streak since 1948. Crude's at 3-month lows, and it's kind of really hasn't moved much over these last 2 weeks or so.
No, it's been, what's crude doing today?
76 and change? 77 now?
Up 33 cents.
Just bounced up, I think.
Yeah. Not much. It's much ado about nothing. Yeah. It's been really range bound.
Yeah.
It is on the lower end of its range.
Yeah.
Just when I thought I was out, it pulls me back in. Boeing back on the top charts. Stock dropped again yesterday. I'm not going to lie, it sucked me in a little bit. I wanted to sell it, so I did.
It was my biggest loser yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't have anything. I jumped back in. But you know what? You look at a Boeing chart. This is why I jumped back in. We don't have to do it. I'm just saying, those out there, look at a Boeing chart. Not to say it's going to happen again, but most times recently, when it's had a big down move, it's drifted higher the next 2 weeks after. That's why I chose to jump in with this vol where it is. Hopefully it works out.